Welcome back. Thank you for visiting my channel. My name is Trap. Today we'll be going over how I go through my daily routine to set up my ArchLinux machine to get ready for whatever development activities I'm doing for that particular day. So we're going to start off by launching a couple terminals. So I have a terminal on the left, terminal on the right. We're using NeoFetch to see that I'm running ArchLinux. I've got the kernel 617. This machine's been up 21 hours. Pretty decent CPU, GPU combination. To navigate over to the other side, I just had to hit the Alt H key, and if I do NeoFetch, we'll see what's going on there. So if I want to find out if I have any of my repositories with open code that I haven't checked in yet, I run the gits command. Gits is a function, so if I do .b, I run this particular function every day, so we'll go over that function real quick. So we can see that it gets the local list of local directories. It's got the opportunity to look at different directories, the Bitbucket directory, a Git directory, a Vim directory, or a soup directory. Close that up. This is my Vim folding. I will check to see if there's any, set the username and email if I need to. I can also, like doing the git status check. So I'm going to iterate through all those directories that were listed up in the first section. And then we're just going to call the function itself, passing in all command line arguments. So nothing special there. So when I look at this particular machine, I see on the left that I've got some changes that were made, and I pretty much know what I was doing last night, so I'm going to hop over to those directories, SX, and I'm actually going to evaluate my dot directories because they're all in the same location. Just launch Neovim, give it a G command, and in here I'm going to take a look at these files. Some of these I'm going to keep, some of them I'm not, but I'm going to show you how to go to make that determination. So I'm using the plugin Fugitive. I do a quick diff, and all I've done is change the opacity, so we'll go ahead and keep that one. That's okay for right now. We'll take a look at the REMA file. We're not going to keep this one, but we do the same thing. DV, sorry. So it's got a couple items in it that were changed from the last time I ran it. Don't really care. Actually, we do want to keep it today because this is my primary development machine. And then I go back and look at the super key, see what I've done here. And I played around with the floating tiling window manager. That didn't help with the experiment that I was running. I just wanted to get rid of that line. I don't care about it. So using Fugitive, I just tell it to delete that particular unstaged item. I want to do this as separate commits. So I'm going to go in and say REMA, and I'm going to tell it, the commit message I'm doing is adding what was the name of that computer we added? Add Ninja. INJA to authorized UTHORIZD computer list. That's good enough. And then I didn't push it in alacrity. We're changing the opacity. So we'll just tell it that we're going to change we'll go ahead and keep that one, and we'll do change OPACITY to 0.98, I'm sorry, that's wrong, 0.985, is that what it is? Yeah, 985, that's good enough. And then we'll get out of that one. Okay, so you see I've got two commit messages that have not been pushed. I'll get out of that, GP it. So I just did the git push. And so it takes a little while sometimes. There it goes. So I get out of this thing, and then if I just do a git log -7, you're going to see I changed the opacity, and I also added Ninja to the authorized list. Okay, so that makes me happy there. I hop over to the other window again, and I do gits. I clear the screen and gits. So it comes down from the top. Starter kit, we don't care about that one. SSH, we don't care about that one. And wiki, we don't care about that one. So I'll go to my wiki directory with WD, and I just do gco dot and gits, and you're going to see the wiki is gone. So what did I just do there? hopping back over to my binary directories. So alias.b is a shortcut, shortcut to go to the bin directories. And in this directory I have a function that I'm going to use. We already saw the gits. I have an alias that I used to get rid of items, so that was gco dot. So that one's fine. We're going to look at this directory over here, and we're going to, in the SSH directory, we're going to, let's say I don't have time to figure out what I was doing right now, so I navigate back over to that directory. So I probably have an alias. So when I say I probably have an alias, some of these commands that I'm typing are aliases and some of them are functions. And for me, it's just muscle memory at this point. So I have to go look to see which one they were. And that's an example of what I would recommend you do is you get so used to doing something, you don't even remember if it's an alias or if it's a function. It's just muscle memory. You know you want to navigate somewhere. You just type in your keystrokes to get to the navigate, wherever that navigation is. So in this particular case, I'm going to keep this. So I'm just going to do a git stash save unknown. That's good enough for now. So you see my prompt has changed. Make that a little bit bigger so you can see it. So my prompt has changed and it says that I've got, that's telling me I've got a stashed item is what that git prompt is doing. Clear the screen there, go back to the root and do a gits, and it's going to match what's on the other side. Now this time we've got some stuff going on in Lvim starter kit. We don't care about that, so we're going to nuke that as well. And that was a lazy zy, isn't it lazy? No, it's lowercase. Lzvim.starter, and we're going to run that same command gco dot. Okay, and then if I pop over to the other side and do the up arrow key, so I'm actually using the J key or K key. You can see that, but I'm using Vim key bindings from the command line. So I'm going to do it. At this point, I'm going to clear the screen and do gits. Okay, so starter kit still got some stuff in it. Those are untracked files. So we're going to go back into that particular directory. We'll do a gits, and we're going to remove lazy lock-in Lvim trap. Okay, so you notice that I've got some changes there. So let's look at that one again. So you notice on this particular thing under the main branch, there's been 2 changes I don't have on this machine yet, but notice it's in my git directory. So what I do at this point is I do a gits again, make that bigger. So at this point, we're just going to say get everything. So I go ggp, and while that's running, .d.b, alias. So I'm running the script git s, which is what I showed you earlier, and I passed in 2 parameters. I want the get directory and I want to do a pull. So all it's doing is it's iterating across all those git directories, anything rooted in my git folder, and it's going and checking that folder to see if it's a git repository. If it's a git repository, it pulls all the code changes that's associated with that. So if you recall from this function here, if we look for Bitbucket, you can see that my repo root can be one of 4 strings. So if I don't type in anything, it's going to assume I meant the git directory. If I type in soup or vim or bb, this list I change as I need to. So if I'm doing a lot of stuff on GitLab or something like that, I would probably put in another case statement here to specifically route everything from that service provider to a particular location. So my workflow, generally speaking, is at my root directory. If I have things that are coming from GitHub, they go into the git directory. If I were going to be doing stuff with Bitbucket, which I do from a professional standpoint occasionally, then I might have a Bitbucket directory in here, and then I would clone everything into the Bitbucket directory. If I'm doing regulated work for a client and I have to work with SOUP, which is a fancy way of saying externally developed software, it means sources of unknown pedigree or provenance. So that's SOUP is what that means. So if I were doing SOUP work, I might just do make dir.p SOUP. So that allows me to separate these things. So if I want to focus just on one content provider or one topic, then I can refresh that topic without worrying about it interfering with anything else. So with my latest poll being done, I do a gits, and I'm expecting to find everything is fine. So when I see gits and I see the name of a repo like this and nothing, I know that with the way the script is written, that's telling me that that particular repo has got something staged, or stashed, sorry, it's got something stashed. Don't really care about it right now, it doesn't get my way. So if I hop back over to the other side, so this is continuing my workflow, which, by the way, I may do this, what you're seeing me do right now, I may do this multiple times during the day, depending on which computer I'm working on. So I've got 2 laptops and a workstation that I have here in this office. So depending on what I'm doing, I may do this multiple times on multiple machines. If it's a Windows 11 machine, which we'll get into later, I will do something special on that machine. But in all cases, my operating system that I'm using is ArchLinux. So at this point, we would just do an update command and let it go off and just do whatever has happened in the Arch community. So I'm using a rolling release. I like to stay on the bleeding edge of things. As I've been doing this over the last couple of years, is that I have only had one time where this has caused me grief, and that was when a grub update was made, but the community had that fixed pretty quickly. So my operating system is up to date. Doesn't tell me that I need to reboot, which is kind of cool. So now the next thing I normally do is I build Neovim. So build Neovim. So I'm grabbing the latest sources for Neovim. So while that's happening, what we'll see over here is that if I go into my git Neovim directory, you see that I've got the entire code base here. So in my bin directory, I have a b in vim, and this is, we'll walk you through this one. So you're seeing me use my vim folding. So it sets the home directory for where I expect my git to be for this particular project. It's going to clone or update. So if the directory exists, it's simply doing a pull. If it doesn't exist, it's going to clone it. And then it simply uses the sudo cmake build release install. I do this every day. Sometimes, like I said, multiple times a day. My machine is pretty quick, so I always want the latest and greatest on my machine. So with that run, I can just do an nvim. Now Neovim has started, and you can see I loaded 87 packages. I got a couple things I can clean up. I got 30 of the 87 packages loaded. I'll do another video on package management and how I go about doing package management. I'm going to clean right now, so I do a clean. So got rid of all the stuff I no longer need. And now that that's finished, what we're going to do is an update. So at this point, we're just going out telling them using the package manager, saying whatever plugins I have, update them all. And generally speaking, the community is pretty good about not doing breaking changes. If it breaks, then you can roll back to a previous commit, which is kind of cool. So with that in mind, I now have Neovim updated. I've got my operating system updated. Neovim has been rebuilt from source. My package management is up to date. I also use Vim, so we go into Vim itself and we just use a plug. So I do not build Vim. So Vim, I use whatever the latest release is with the distro. I just use Vim as it is. I'm using the plug package manager for Vim. Load up all my plugins, and bada boom, bada bing. It looks like this one's going to be done pretty quick. I had a couple things I had to pull in. Cool with that, and that was done. should have used the other keybind. I also play around with Vim. So with Vim, I type Lvim, and I just run that one. Vim has recently migrated from Packer to lazy. So in Vim, you type lazy now. Bring that up, let it see what it's doing. It's got some cleans that it wants to do. Buffer line indent. Well, that's kind of cool. That stuff is getting rid of. Okay, cool. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna do an update. So we'll update everything, and then we'll probably do a clean after that. Okay, that's done. We'll do a clean just for the heck of it. Cool. And we're gonna get out super Q, gone. Now I go back into Lvim, and I'm gonna do the same keystrokes. So it's gonna be, I can't do the keystrokes. So just gonna type lazy, ZY, and then we're gonna do the Shift P command to see the profile. So startup time is 107.8 milliseconds. If we go to the home, we're going to see that the 103 plugins still wants to do a clean. Let's clean it again. Okay, that's done. Should be done. We'll get out of this, close the Lvim, go back in, lazy. Why isn't it cleaning? That's interesting. It's telling me it's going to clean those things, but they're not cleaned. Okay, I'll look into that. Doesn't interfere with what I'm doing, but you can see I've got 102 programs loaded, 6 need to be cleaned, 80 are loaded, and not loaded is 10, and oh, these are disabled. That's because Neovim allows you to disable things. That's why they're not actually, it's telling me I can clean them, but they're actually being used by Vim score. So what I can do at this point is go and take a look at the profile. 110 milliseconds to get it started, not too bad. Lazy start was 51 milliseconds, lazy done is 90, and user enter, okay. Not too bad, but it's not great. So let's take a look at mine. Okay, and we do lazy, we'll do the same commands. Okay, so 87 plugins, 30 are loaded. Let's go over here and take a look at this one and take a look at the H command. So 103 plugins, but 80 are loaded. So that's going to be the huge difference in startup time. So if we take a look at my window over here on the left, and I take a look at the profile, you're seeing that I'm loading my environment in a total of 30 milliseconds. Okay, so that's the reason I migrated from Vim, I migrated away from Packer, and I went to lazy as a package manager because I can control very, very specifically when plugins are loaded. Anyway, so with that done, with that kind of work done, I'm ready to start my day. And so I do those kinds of activities. Sometimes a reboot is required. So if a reboot's required, then I reboot my machine and I take off. But at this point, I'm ready to go. All my repositories are synced. So if I go to my Git directory, you can see there's a bunch of repositories there. If I wanted, I don't use my computer for backup. I use GitHub and other places like that for backup. So when I want source code on my disk, I just clone it, okay? So as an example, I have a learning Rust repo that I use. It's not very sophisticated, but if I want that repo on my machine, it's just type in learning Rust, and boom. In a few seconds, I've got that repo on my desktop, and I can play with it. So I don't rely on my computer hard drive to keep data for me. I'm pushing my stuff to the cloud daily. So my workflow, see if you notice in this directory, it's got some strange names like Howard House and Allen Consulting and things like that. Those things are not work related, they're personal related. But what I do is I use the same workflow for my personal documents and files as I do for work or contract related work. So I'm ready to go. My day is done, I'm ready to go. I mean, my morning's done, I should say. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to do whatever project I'm working on. So if I were, for example, if I were going to be working on the Bootstrap ArchLinux project, then I would just hop into Bootstrap, and there's not a lot here, but another video will cover this. I'd start going in and looking at the install script and seeing what I want to do, what I want to change. Do I want to change the way I bootstrap a Linux machine when I want to get started? So in this context, bootstrapping for me is I have installed the base distro, whether I've done it the Arch way and I have nothing but the bare minimum operating system, or I've used ArchLinux to put on the desktop that I want and the operating system packages that I want. This is me adding or customizing to that environment the things that I need to be successful for that particular day. We'll cover that in another video. Hey, again, my name is Trap. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a great day. We're going to try a super key here. So this is a new key binding for me. So I'm looking at my keyboard. So let's try this again. We're going to try stopping this video right now with a keystroke. So on the count of 1, 2, 3, I'm out.